Welcome back to another episode of Play by Play presented by Win or Lose Sports. Visit us online at winorloseshow.com and all of our social media at Win or Lose Show. This is episode number 37, I believe, and it's the weekly recap for the Dallas Cowboys. As a Dallas Cowboys fan, I tend to do this every week. I skipped last week because it was on a Thursday night, so I wanted to wait to recap the last two games on a Monday night. Monday Night Football is happening right now, the Chiefs and the Saints. So we're going to get right into the last couple games for the Dallas Cowboys. They both were wins, but they both were tough wins to watch. And as Dallas Cowboys fans know, this is always an ordinary thing. When we play tough teams, it's a tough game to watch. And the game versus the Steelers was an even tougher game than the game to watch versus the Giants because we had multiple injuries, key injuries on defense. Obviously, DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons are very tough guys on defense for us, and missing those two guys is tough for our defense to deal with. Fortunately, we had other people on the field that wanted to play and played hard. When you have guys who really don't play a lot and they're playing behind other more important players or more better players, so when they have the opportunity to get on the field, they actually played to the best of their ability and played well. They actually played well. So I commend the Cowboys defense for coming out and playing the way they played, especially versus the Steelers, and pulled off the win. So we're going to talk about the Giants game first. So Dak Prescott played to me it was a great game. 22 for 27 and no interceptions, 2 touchdown passes for 221 yards. One of those touchdown passes was to CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb had a 7-catch game for 98 yards. And the game versus the Giants, CeeDee Lamb had the 55-yard touchdown pass from Dak Prescott, and he had no complaints at all because he got the ball. And there were no interceptions. And to me, this is the problem with CD. I love CeeDee Lamb. The problem with CD is when he's not getting what he wants, he wants to fuss and argue on the sideline. This is what happened against the Steelers. He had 9 targets and 5 receptions for 62 yards, no touchdowns. But when Dak threw the interception to Porter, trying to get the pass to CeeDee Lamb in the end zone, it was a miscommunication again. A miscommunication between Dak and CD. CD has some choice words on the sideline for Dak. That's what I don't like. Like, you're doing this right in the middle of the game. You're doing this right in the midst of, I want to say controversy, but right in the midst of you trying to find your way back into the game and not knowing the results of what the game is going to be. So you're putting the pressure on Dak when there's already pressure on Dak for being a quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. Now you want to put this negativity on him, and you're not making Dak look bad because Dak already looks bad just from how the media perceives him, or it could be from how Dak plays on the field. So he doesn't need that extra from CeeDee Lamb. But then again, Dak comes out, he plays terrible or whatever. He throws 2 interceptions that are very questionable, a fumble. But then in the fourth quarter, those 2 touchdown passes, recovers a fumble in the red zone from Rico Dowdle, and then throws a touchdown pass to win the game. So this is a very confusing Cowboys team. When you're down players, you're down key players on defense. You really don't have that many weapons on offense. You don't really have a secondary receiver, but then Jalen Tolbert shows up and catches key passes down the stretch in the fourth quarter, and then catches the touchdown pass to win the game. And I don't think that the Cowboys lack talent. They don't lack skill. But one thing I do think they lack is confidence. And that comes from the coaching staff or the camaraderie between the quarterback and the receivers, or the quarterback and the backfield. They don't have the confidence in each other. That's one reason why they're not playing as well as they should play, because the talent is obviously there. When you beat a Steelers team who everyone thought would mollywop the Cowboys, and you win in convincing fashion, as far as this comeback in the fourth quarter, you were down 17-8 and 17-6 in the fourth quarter, and you win the game 20-17. That tells a lot about your resiliency and your determination as a team. Again, penalties down the stretch. Penalties throughout the game, first of all. Cowboys is a known high penalty team. So you got penalties that are happening all throughout the game, which throws off the rhythm of the offense, throws off the rhythm of the defense. And it's just a lack of discipline. I preach this, and I say this every year in every episode I talk about the Cowboys. There's a lack of discipline that's there, and that comes down from coaching. There's a coaching disparity in the Cowboys, because we don't have a coach that the team obviously respects. Mike McCarthy is a great guy, I'm sure, but coaching the Cowboys is not something that should be something that shouldn't be on his resume, because he's not the guy to lead the Cowboys to a touchdown. I mean, to a Super Bowl, and that comes from even above him. When you're talking about Jerry Jones and the ownership and general manager, or whatever he wants to be called, when you have a coach that you know is not going to galvanize his team with confidence and a winning attitude, because he's going to listen to everything that you do want to be done, Jerry Jones, instead of having a coach like Bill Belichick who can run an organization and lead that organization to multiple Super Bowls, and who has a thought for himself, a mind of his own, and not have to depend on ownership to lead him in the direction that ownership wants to go in. Because obviously when you pass up players like Derrick Henry, when you pass up coaches like Bill Belichick, when you pass up opportunities to sign better players, there's a problem. And that problem leads from Jerry Jones down to Mike McCarthy and down to Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is a great guy, I'm sure, on an everyday basis. He's a good quarterback, and he's a decent passer. But he's not getting the confidence that he needs to be Dak Prescott as a winning quarterback from his coaches and from the ownership. When you don't surround Dak with players that'll make the team better offensively. Because if we had signed Derrick Henry, we would have a running game. Not that we don't have a running game at all, because the last couple of games, when you look at Rico Dowdle against the Giants, who ran 11 times for 46 yards, 4.18 yards per carry, which is around the league average. And last game against the Steelers, he ran 20 carries for 87 yards, 4.35 yards a carry. That's above or right around that league average. So it's just that we have the talent. The Cowboys have the talent on offense. Obviously, the talent is there on defense, other than stopping the run, which they actually did that the last couple games against the Giants and against the Steelers. So something is changing, but it's not the general managers or the owners doing of why this team is getting quote unquote better every week. Is because the players are tired of losing. Like Michael Parsons was saying, like, we are tired of losing games that we should win. And now you see it. You see the attitude of the players on defense who are going out and making plays. Not many interceptions from our defense like it was in the last couple of years, but making plays other than causing turnovers and making stops is what matters also. When you're stopping the run, when you get into the quarterback, pressuring the quarterback to cause him to throw bad passes, not necessarily interceptions, but you're making stops when it's necessary. And Dak Prescott is making plays when necessary. Yes, turnovers, yes, fumbles, yes, dumbfounded plays, and he has a dumbfounded look on his face. But at the end of the day, he came out and he drove this team downfield and won the game against the Steelers. A game that I didn't think that Cowboys could win because we were down defensively. But I commend Dak Prescott. I commend the Dallas Cowboys player personnel for going out and winning the game. Now, what are we going to do against the Lions next week? I don't know how long Michael Parsons is going to be out. I don't know how long DeMarcus Lawrence is going to be out. But if this team plays the way they played against the Steelers defensively, held this team to 17 points, I believe that the Cowboys can win against the Lions or any other team. Not that the Steelers were a high-powered offense, but they've been winning games this season with 3 wins. Lost last week to the Colts, lost this week to the Cowboys. So the Steelers is not a bad team. The Giants, they are who they are. So I think this week against the Lions will be a test of where the Cowboys are. Against the Lions, this will gauge where are we going this season? Where is the Cowboys team going this season? Where they measure up offensively against a good defensive Detroit Lions team? Where were they measured defensively against a team like the Lions who can throw the ball downfield? Jared Goff down and Amon-Ra St. Brown can go downfield. They have a decent running game with Montgomery. This will tell the Cowboys organization where they are defensively and offensively, both sides of the ball. Where do they measure up against the elite teams in the NFL? I just hope that Mike McCarthy has a game plan offensively. I just hope that Mike Zimmer has a game plan defensively. That they actually sit down and watch tape. I'm sure they do. But sit down and watch tape and figure out how are we going to defend the Lions offense? How are we going to pressure the Lions defensively? And how are we going to pressure them on defense to stop them on offense? What's the game plan with Dak? What's the game plan with the running game? Because we have the personnel to run the ball. I know we don't have Derrick Henry. We got to forget about that. We still have Zeke, who can run the ball on third down, fourth down, short runs. But we have Rico Dowdle, who has some speed and power because we saw that against the Steelers. We need to see that more. We need to run the ball a little more. But we have to run the ball more effectively. We have to pass the ball more effectively. We have to figure out an offense and figure out plays that are not so elementary that they can be stopped. We can't just send CeeDee Lamb on a streak every play downfield. We got to figure out how to put him in the slot position, to use him in the slot position for slants, for short routes. And I've seen that in the last couple games, but we have to continue that so the offense won't look so elementary. We got to stop trying to fit in these trick plays that are not working at all. I've seen 3 trick plays in the second half that didn't look good at all, didn't work at all. I don't know where Mike McCarthy is getting these plays from, but just throw them out. Throw them out the book. Don't use them anymore because they're not working. Every single play last week that they used, this past week against the Steelers that they tried to use, these trick plays did not work at all. Didn't go anywhere. Previous 4 weeks, I've seen these trick plays that Mike McCarthy tries to pull out. Don't work at all. Throw them out. Just throw them out. Run the ball like any other offense runs the ball, right up the gut, because that works more effectively than trying to run the ball, these sweep plays or these jet sweep plays that you try to run that are not working. You can't run it. You have to run them when you have to set these plays up to run. That means run a fake jet sweep. So they are overplaying these sweeps, and eventually in the third, fourth quarter, you can run them and it works, but you have to set it up. But anybody that runs an offense in the NFL should know that. Maybe Mike McCarthy is overconfident about his playbook. I don't know, but got to figure something else out because that's not working at all. Hopefully that the game plan that they come up with against Detroit will put Dak in a comfortable position to throw the ball, not necessarily throw the ball downfield because you don't have to do that nowadays. More effective passing is the short routes, the comeback routes. I have yet to see Dak run a double move to get the pass downfield. Maybe I missed it. I don't know. But I haven't seen it this year. So it's something for Mike McCarthy to figure out, because if I am figuring out or watching the game and I can predict the play calling of Mike McCarthy, who's going to run the ball 7 times out of 70% of the time, he's going to run the ball on the first down. So they're not going to blitz on a first down. They're going to wait for them to get the ball, for the back to get the ball and cover the hole. So let's figure that out. Let's figure out what can we do differently than what we've done over the last 3 years since Mike McCarthy has taken over the offense. What can we figure out to change the trajectory of this running game, this passing game? And it's not, you can't add personnel now. So you have to figure out with the personnel that you do have now, how to fix the problem. An impressive win against the Steelers? No. An impressive comeback by Dak? Yes. I mean, he threw the ball 42 times, 29 completions, 352 yards, 2 touchdown passes, 2 interceptions. A decent day. Interceptions has to go. And when you look at the receivers, he spread the ball out pretty well. And I think that's why it kind of worked for this game, because it wasn't just CeeDee Lamb getting the ball. It wasn't just Jake Ferguson. Jalen Tolbert, who's not known to get too many receptions, had 7 receptions. Jake Ferguson averages about 5 or 6. He had 6 this week. CeeDee Lamb had 5. Turpin had 4. Dowdle had 2. And a couple of other guys had 2 and 1. I think Jalen Brooks needs to get more involved. I think he's a great receiver in the making. Schoonmaker, another great tight end in the making. I think they just need to get more involved in the offense. We can't just focus on where CeeDee Lamb is on the field, because obviously the best cover guy on the defense is going to be after CeeDee Lamb. So we have to get these other guys involved. And when you get other guys involved in the offense like this, it builds their confidence. So down the road, they will be available and will be ready to catch these passes in the game, just like Jalen Tolbert. The reason why Jalen Tolbert caught that pass at the end of the game, because he was confident. Over the game, Dak looked for him, and he had key receptions throughout this game. So I'm going to look for a guy who's confident in his skill set, because he worked that game against the Steelers and found ways to get open. So I'm going to look for the guy who's finding ways to get open in those key moments in the game. And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly why he looked for Jalen Tolbert, and he caught the ball and they won the game. I think they need more of that, more of other guys stepping up, because without CeeDee Lamb, there's nobody else, quote unquote, nobody else, as other sports media people are trying to say. There's nobody else on the field besides CD that can throw the ball to. No, Jake is there, obviously. I think, just like I said, these other guys need to get more involved in the offense. Dak needs to look for them more. Mike McCarthy needs to adjust these plays to put these other guys in positions that you had CeeDee Lamb in. And maybe CeeDee Lamb will be more open more often on these other routes, underneath routes. Stop with the jet sweeps. Stop with the trick plays. Can't depend on our kicker to win games, even though he's probably one of the best kickers in NFL history, and it's third year in the NFL. So I look forward to see what we do against the Lions next week. I want to also shout out to the Ohio State Buckeyes, who ranked number 2 right now and had a great win against Iowa, facing Oregon this week. Number 2 versus number 3. That should be a great game. Looking forward to that game. I just think Ryan Day is another play caller whose play calling before this year was very elementary. So now you got Chip Kelly running the offense, calling the offense, and that made a huge difference in how the Buckeyes look this year. I know we have a different quarterback, but Will Howard is a great quarterback. But I think Howard and the addition of Chip Kelly in the offense makes the Buckeyes look great, greater than they did the last couple of years. Hopefully this will lead up to, I'm not even questioning the win against Michigan, but hopefully this will lead up to a pathway to the national championship, the way the offense is looking this year. But this week against Oregon, I think, is a huge test for the Buckeyes. I'm looking forward to them playing this game and winning this game. We have some very talented players on the Buckeyes. Of course, Jeremiah Smith, the freshman, who will probably be in the Heisman conversation in the next couple of years. Will Howard, of course, the 2 great running backs, Trayvon Henderson. And we just have to focus on staying the course of how this offense is running, which we will with Chip Kelly, and play the defense that they've been playing, led by Jack Sawyer. So, like I said, Cowboys against the Lions this week. Ohio State versus Oregon. Stay tuned. We'll talk about those 2 games next week. And I just want to thank everybody for watching, subscribing on YouTube, youtube.com/Win and Lose Show. Make sure you follow on all social media at Win and Lose Show. And this podcast is everywhere you can find your podcasts: YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and anywhere else. Thanks for watching and thanks for tuning in. Also on Twitch. So this is also live on Twitch. I've been doing live Twitch podcasts over the last few weeks. So thanks for watching on Twitch, and we see you next time.